It's no secret that Enlisted has a ton of content. In fact, by my estimation, there's over 450 different, unique, equipable weapons in Enlisted. But guys, here's the catch. Which of these is the most rare? Which of these guns have you never even seen in a match of Enlisted? Which of these would you see in the kill feed and think to yourself, what is that? I've never seen that. I'm going to be going over in this video what I believe to be the absolute rarest guns in all of Enlisted. Now, if you're lucky enough to have some of these rare weapons, leave a comment down below which one you have, and like and subscribe as well. Or alternatively, let me know if you think there's something even more rare than the guns on my list here. Guys, let's jump into it. Starting off with the least rare of our rarest guns, we've got the KBSP WZ.38m. Yes, a very catchy name, I know. Now, this is a semi-automatic rifle for a premium engineer squad, which hasn't been available to purchase for quite some time. Even when it was available to purchase, I really didn't see very many people bothering to pick it up because it was during a time of Enlisted's history when the different campaigns were actually split up. And this squad landed squarely within the Berlin campaign. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Berlin campaign was fast-paced. You had weapons like the PPSH and the FG42, the ABT, being complete commonplace. So, when compared to a semi-automatic stripper clip-fed rifle, it just really didn't cut it. Combine that with it not being a particularly famous or well-renowned weapon, and also not really being, like, meme-worthy, and nobody really bothered picking it up. You've got a pretty rare weapon. Now, the gun itself is actually pretty solid, and I really enjoy using it from the time to time that I decide to pull it out, especially since it takes the place of the Gewehr 41 in a BR3 Axis lineup. If this squad does go on the sale in the future, I'm kind of curious to see if it will drop off this list or not. But for now, it's going to be sitting at the least rare of our rarest guns slot. Next up, we've got a double whammy in more ways than one. The Lisle Carbine and the Welrod. Now, I'm putting these two together because they were originally bundled together when you could still purchase them as a gold order bundle. Now, these two weapons not only earn a slot in the halls of Enlisted's rarest weapons, but they also both earn a slot in the halls of the absolutely worst weapons in Enlisted. And with good reason. The Lisle is essentially a two-shot kill bolt-action rifle, which is exactly as awful as it sounds, and the Welrod is a bolt-action pistol, which is somehow actually worse than it sounds. Now, I'm not sure if these are actually that rare in the sense of people don't have a ton of these, because I do think a lot of people probably pick them up as like a meme and as a joke, but most of the time they just end up sitting in logistics, because these weapons are so unbelievably bad that the only reason you'd ever even bother to use them is as a joke. I'm not kidding when I say to you guys that you'd probably be better off trying to just beat people to death with the butt of the rifle than to actually use these as guns. Regardless, they earn their spot at number 4 in our list. At number 3, we have the MP40/1, which is weirdly not the only MP40 copycat in this list. This is a weirdly unique gun in Enlisted history and in Enlisted in general, and I'm kind of moderately surprised we haven't seen it up for sale again. I actually kind of think it would sell pretty well. The MP40/1 is really just an MP40 but with a dual magazine, allowing your first and every other reload to be nearly instant. Now, this squad was originally sold as a pre-order bundle with the Berlin campaign, and I remember using it quite a lot back then. But just like the KBSP that I mentioned at number 5, it kind of got outclassed by other weapons, and eventually it kind of just fell out of flavor for a lot of players. And then once the merge happened, it just wasn't sold anymore. At the end of the day, the squad really is just an MP40, which isn't really that interesting. And I think that contributes a lot to why it's so rare. Nevertheless, I actually really enjoy using this gun, and it's a neat gun to pick up on a sale if it ever does come back into rotation in the future. Alright, now we move on to the truly rare of the rare. I'm bundling together 4 different weapons, as these are all, in my opinion, equally rare. These would, of course, be the closed beta founder packs, including the M2 hide for the allies, the MP41 and MP28 extended magazine for the Axis, and the PPK-41 for the Soviets. These were all originally buy-in packs for the Enlisted closed beta, in that you had to actually purchase them to even be able to play Enlisted at all. Funnily enough, these were actually some of the best squads in Enlisted at the time as well, and especially you would see the M2 High just out like dominating games, and they were your big powerhouse squads. Because again, at the time, no one had grinded through a lot of the campaigns since it had such a long grind at that time. However, they've really fallen off since their heyday, and most of these guns these days are kind of just average or even below average guns that just look a little bit weird in the kill feed. Now, Darkflow has explicitly stated that they will not ever sell these weapons again, so those of us that are lucky enough to have them will be able to lord over all of you that do not have them for eternity, or at least until we get killed by a much better weapon from the tech tree. And finally, we have the absolute most rare 3 guns in Enlisted. These weapons are so rare that I've only seen one of them one time in my thousands of hours of playing Enlisted over the years. I know a grand total of just 4 people who even have access to these guns, and 2 of those people literally work for Gaijin. Guys, these guns are, of course, the Kar-98K Trench, the Springfield Air Service, and the Mosin Infantry Rifle. And they were given out to the crowdfunders for the original Enlisted closed alpha. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, wow, these guns are really that rare? What do? Are they OP? Do they shoot laser beams? No, they're actually kind of bad. The Kar-98K Trench and the Springfield Air Service are just 25-round variants of their tech tree counterparts, and the Mosin Infantry is pretty much just a Mosin rifle. It's not really that exciting. That being said, these are the most rare guns in Enlisted by far, and it's seriously by far, not even close. So if you do see one in game, you should count yourself lucky. Or unlucky, I guess, since you're probably playing with a very, very long time Enlisted veteran. Just like the closed beta squads, Darkflow has said that they won't ever give these out again. They won't even give them to, like, cool YouTubers who are asking really, really nicely and made a whole video for them. Now, you may be thinking to yourself at this point, Quadro, did you really just make an entire YouTube video talking about the rare guns in Enlisted just so you could, at the end, ask Darkflow really nicely to please, please give me one? The answer to that, guys, is yes. Yes, I did.